Welcome to the Archive Network. I'm Aurelius, and with me as always, Malik. We curate the classified archive. Today we open a new file. unravels scandal. Malik, you've had this one on your desk for a while. In 2009, Malaysia was poised for greatness. The launch of Malaysia Development Berhad, or unravels, was hailed as a beacon of hope for the nation. This government-owned investment fund was meant to drive growth and innovation. Yet, as we know, hidden beneath this shiny surface lay a more complex tale. What started as an ambitious initiative soon spiraled into chaos, revealing a web of mismanagement and corruption that would shake the foundations of the country and taint its future.
Aurelius, the optimism surrounding unravels was palpable, but it was just a mirage. Prime Minister Najib Razak marketed it as a shining beacon of progress, but that so-called progress was really built on lies and deception. The people wanted to believe in a better Malaysia, but for whom? The truth is, it was the elite who stood to gain, while everyday folks like you and me were left holding the bag, struggling to make sense of it all.
Official documents claimed that unravels would invest in energy, real estate, and tourism. A compelling narrative, no doubt, crafted to inspire confidence. But by 2014, troubling signs began to emerge. The illusion of prosperity was starting to crack, and the truth was becoming harder to hide. As we examined the financial reports, we noticed discrepancies and red flags. The glamour was fading, revealing the chaos beneath. This is the reality of grand ambitions. They often mask deeper issues.
Troubling signs? That's an understatement, my friend. The reality was a growing web of corruption that ensnared so many lives. It went beyond just numbers. The whispers of wrongdoing turned into a deafening roar when the Wall Street Journal uncovered that nearly $700 million had funneled into Najib's personal accounts. This wasn't merely financial mismanagement. It was a blatant betrayal of trust, shattering the hopes of countless families who relied on honest leadership for their futures.
That revelation sent shockwaves throughout Malaysia, shaking the very foundations of public trust. Outrage erupted like a volcano, with crowds pouring into the streets, demanding accountability from those in power. The opulent unravels headquarters in Kuala Lumpur stood in stark contrast to the growing discontent among the populace, a symbol of excess amidst suffering. In moments like these, we witness the age-old response to corruption. The masses rise, fueled by a collective sense of injustice that can no longer be ignored.
But the outrage was about so much more than just a building. It was about real people suffering, while the elite continued to line their pockets. Activists rallied under the #TangkapMoon, pouring out their anger and frustration. This wasn't just a political fight. It was a struggle for the very heart and soul of Malaysia, for the future of families who hoped for justice and a better life. It was time for change, and they weren't going to back down.
On August 1st, 2015, a massive protest in Kuala Lumpur brought thousands together, united in their frustration. The atmosphere was electric, filled with hope yet tinged with despair. Dreams for a better Malaysia felt crushed under the weight of corruption. We've seen it time and again throughout history. Empires can promise the world, but when greed takes the lead, people suffer. It's a grim reminder that power often prioritizes itself over the very citizens it's meant to serve.
Aurelius, I get that you see this as just the way empires rise and fall, but that misses the real human impact. People were struggling day in and day out. Schools were underfunded. Kids were missing out on education, and healthcare was a mess. The way public funds were mismanaged wasn't just about numbers on a balance sheet. It was a moral failure that rippled through families and communities, leaving lasting scars on everyday lives.
The implications of this scandal reached far beyond the borders of Malaysia. In fact, the U.S. Department of Justice took notice and launched an investigation of their own. By July 2016, they moved forward with a civil suit aimed at seizing over $1 billion in assets tied to the case. This was a significant escalation, and it became clear. This was no longer just a local issue. We were witnessing a global matter, one that would ripple through nations and shake the foundations of power.
And yet, this isn't just about numbers. The Doge's lawsuit detailed extravagant purchases, like a jaw-dropping $27.3 million diamond necklace from Miranda Kerr. Can you imagine that? It really speaks volumes about the priorities of those in power, doesn't it? It's a stark reminder of how greed can twist even the best intentions into something unrecognizable, leaving real people to bear the burden of their excesses. We have to ask ourselves, what does that say about us as a society?
Goldman Sachs raised about $6.5 billion for ONMB through bond sales, a staggering amount that showcases the sheer scale of modern financial maneuvering. This financial machinery, much like the apparatus of ancient empires, facilitated the misappropriation. Over $2.7 billion in stolen funds flowed through a complex network of shell companies. It's a web of deceit that illustrates how institutions can be manipulated. We're left to wonder how much more lies beneath the surface of such grand schemes.
It's staggering, but it's also a reflection of a corrupt system. Ordinary Malaysians were left to suffer while their leaders thrived in luxury. When the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission finally announced an investigation, people were hopeful but skeptical. Questions about its independence quickly surfaced. Many suspected it was just a facade, a way to calm the public's outrage. The reality is that the struggle for accountability was far from over, and countless families continued to bear the heavy burden of this injustice.
By December 2015, we could see the landscape shifting noticeably. Najib was adamant he did nothing wrong, insisting the funds were just donations from a member of the Saudi royal family. But as more evidence came to light, his approval ratings began to plummet. Once a seemingly untouchable leader, he was now facing a storm of public discontent. This marked the onset of a political reckoning that would change the course of Malaysian history for years to come.
That's where we leave it for now. Part 1 of 5. ONMB scandal is far from done. If you're new here, we're Aurelius and Malik, curators of the Classified Archive, part of the Archive Network. Part 2 drops soon.